Hey, TBR family. This podcast is brought to you by Molly's Place. Go to mymollies.com for all of your waterfowl needs, ammunition, and firearms. Special shout out to My Mollies for supplying us with some much needed gear on a regular basis. As you know, as we always start out a new episode, we always start out with a scripture. And the scripture I have for us today is in Romans chapter 14, verse 7. And it says this, it says, For none of us live for ourselves alone. And I love that scripture because I think when I think about that, is that our lives, what we do, what we say, who we are, affects the people around us. And so when God breathed breath into our lives, it says in Genesis, 2:7, he breathed into man's nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. It makes me realize that our lives do have purpose. We do have meaning. And the people we come into contact each and every week and each and every day, each and every moment, it matters. Our viewers matter. The people who listen into this podcast matters. Our church family, our family matters. And when we live a life, we live it touching other people. And so it matters what we do, what we say, how we act.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't even know that was going to be your scripture today, but that's a really good segue for today because, I think about as we come out of waterfowl season and goose season ending in late February in Virginia, I think back on the times that we had this year.
Absolutely.
And just so thankful. I mean, really thankful for you, man. I mean,
Absolutely.
you're an awesome friend. We've talked about that on here before. I mean, you're actually more like a brother than anybody to
Absolutely.
me. And we've had some really great times and just kind of going back to the last podcast that we talked about Pastor Hurt, you just never know when your last day is going to be.
Absolutely.
And and that all happened at the end of duck season for us, and it kind of put things in perspective on our last couple of hunts that we had, even with some of our other brothers, and you just live it to the fullest and appreciate the people that are around you and what you can gain from each other, really, and just like you said, like live for that moment and just appreciation for my brothers in Christ and that the whole end of waterfowl season for me was just one of those things where like you sit back and reminisce on the good times that you've had, and then like I just said, you gotta realize this might be the last time you and I hunt. I mean, waterfowl season's over. I mean, anything could happen to either of us, and it could have been our last duck hunt, and we tried to live them like that.
Absolutely. I think as you think about those things in life, where as I've said in past episodes, life is short. It is. We know that. And, as I was talking with Phil, who went on our Arkansas hunt, he's like, he's 60 years old, and he's like, I just don't know how many more of those events I'm going to have in my life. So he's like, I want to live it to the fullest. He's a successful business owner. He does a lot of things, has an HVAC company, but he's like, I want to do some things. I want to make sure, because you're not promised that next hunt, that next trip. And so you want to live it life to the fullest. But, the reality is for all of us, and I know this, is I love to duck hunt. I live for it. I mean, it's awesome. I think about it a lot. But the reality is duck hunting by myself, I wouldn't do it as much. The thing is, it's the people around us. It's the conversations that you get in to. It's those moments at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to beat people to the ramp, and just those memories. But we get in some deep conversations, talk about all kinds of things, from life to marriage to kids to retirement plans. I mean, all those things get packed into that. And when do you really take, 5-6 hours and just have undivided attention with 3 people and really kind of put your phones down, except when you're trying to record the dog retrieving. I mean, really, it's just, we just talk and hang out. And I appreciate that, because we live our lives not to ourselves. We touch people with the lives we live.
Yeah, and some of that content that we've posted here in the recent past of just a couple of pictures kind of struck me, you and Phil out there with that single goose. And one of the things that was, that I put in that caption is sometimes it's only one that comes in and one that dies and one you take home. And and it's more than that. It's the memories that we shared, the conversations that we shared. And you're right. I mean, another piece of content that I put out there not too long ago either was, I can't remember which picture it was, but I was kind of urging people, whatever your passion is, whether it's waterfowl or not, and that's okay if it's not.
Yeah.
Whatever your passion is, find it with people that you love to do it with and people that you love.
Yeah.
And you should take hold of that, and you should really savor those moments,
Yeah.
because I believe that it's good. It's good for your well-being. It's good for your life. Those are the things you're gonna hang on to. I believe in your later years, and I know I do. I mean, I absolutely love what we do. I've found my passion in this, and I get to do it with the people I love. So.
Well, and I think too, as one old timer said this, hunting is not just about that one kill. That when you do that and you have that opportunity, or maybe it's a mount that you've met, you relive it every time. Every time you see it, every time you tell the story, you just relive those moments, and it's so fun just to go back and talk about hunts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you listeners, you're listening to our stories about hunting, and other things also. But it is enjoyable to just go back and reminisce, and when we talk about these hunts, I go straight back to that moment,
Yeah.
where the birds come in, or where you were carrying that pile of geese in Arkansas, or the one goose where we were thankful for that goose that day.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I can't do that with anything else. It's like my memory is just gone on other things.
Yeah.
But it's a love for it, and like I said, I urge everybody who's listening, if you have the one thing, whatever it is that you're passionate about, go out and do it, and find people that you can do it with, and do that. I mean, we have somewhat of a model here at our church that we have small groups, and that's
Absolutely.
exactly what that is. And we've kind of created somewhat of a small group that not everybody, I guess, would participate in. But this past season, we actually did a lot of hunting that was more than just you and I, which
Absolutely.
Some of that was the plan. I mean,
Absolutely.
when I built my boat out, that was part of the plan, was we can hunt 4 guys, and that's
Absolutely.
what we ended up doing. And we got Logan and Aaron out there, and
Yeah.
And so we had some really, really good times and some really good memories, and had a lot of laughs, and got a lot of content, and you've seen a lot of that over the last few months. And so that's who we are. That's what we do. And that's, going back to, this is why we do it. We do it for the connection. I was just on the phone with somebody today, and had somebody they wanted me to reach out to, and kind of had an interest of potentially meeting up and doing some other things, and find myself challenged, and I've challenged you for us to just continue to pray that the Lord opens doors.
Absolutely.
For people that we can meet and potentially do this with. So that's my heart, and it's been my heart the first quarter of this year, is that the Lord just continues to work through this company and the Band and Retrieve, and that we can see people's lives changed, and also our lives be changed, and we can meet others and do the same thing with other people.
Absolutely. Going back to our core values, and after, I guess, hunting season, winds down, you think about those things. And we are faith, family, and legacy. You've heard that over and over on this podcast, and even in our posts. But the reality is, we put God first, and we put our family right in the proper order. And then we want to leave a legacy, not just of hunting. We want to leave that, but of just relationships and building relationships. And hunting is no better way to do that. Duck hunting, especially, because you don't have to be quiet.
Yeah.
So,
well, full circle, kind of go. I was listening back on the last podcast, and we talked a little bit about Phil and how Phil. It was funny the week after. The week after we came back, it was actually Pastor JB, the senior pastor here. He comes up and he says, "All right, Phil, do you like duck hunting better, or you like deer hunting better?"
Yeah.
And without missing a beat, he said duck hunting.
Yeah.
For sure. And it was like, we had a good goose hunt. We had one good hour. Good hour, and Phil is sold out, dude. He's like ready to go. Where are we going next year?
Well, we spent we had 5 hunts. We had morning, evening, morning, evening, morning. That one morning, we killed over 20, and the farmer's wife came in. If you don't know that story, go listen to last episode. It's great. It tells the whole story about it. Then we had a evening goose hunt that brought the single. We had 1. And then we had a morning goose hunt that maybe I think it brought 1 or 2. It might have just been 1. We were skunked, I think, on one time. And then the morning of We went duck hunting one time in Arkansas. Actually, when you go back to think about
No,
it.
we did 2 evenings.
Oh yeah,
Nothing the first evening.
Nothing. Yeah, that's right.
And then the last morning was a duck hunt. That's when we got the mallards.
Yeah, we killed what
2 mallards.
2 mallards. Yeah, and that was their Arkansas trip.
Yeah.
It was a great time, but I mean, really, and he's hooked. Phil's
Yeah.
hooked. He's like, I love it.
It's hard not to love.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
I know we talk about it a lot, and I joke with people, and there might be some people here that just absolutely are like diehard deer people,
Oh, yeah.
especially you people on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
I know that you
Yeah,
guys, Facebook people seem to get triggered so easy. Like, no, but I mean, I mean it harmlessly. But
duck hunting's better.
Yeah, I mean, like, tell me you haven't duck hunted without telling me you haven't duck hunted. But it is awesome. It's an awesome thing, and so anyway, we won't continue to belabor that point. But I think back on in the 2023-2024 waterfowl season, and that whole season, Rachel and I knew that we were going to have our first child, baby girl, who is not here yet, and she's due March 10th, and so she may come early. She might come on time, but anyway, we knew that Sophie was coming, and so Rachel and I had agreed that I'm going to make this season
Absolutely.
the best one, the best one that I can make it, and not that I won't have good seasons after this, but there's this point in time where there's an additional responsibility back at home
Absolutely.
that you're going to have, and so without that, I can somewhat be a little bit more nimble, is what the choice of words that I'd use, and so.
You have schedule flexibility. That's what it
Yeah.
is. I mean, the reality is I have 3 sons, and because I have to get them to school and make sure that they're not on a 2-hour delay, there's a lot of moving parts to get me in a duck blind on a weekday. And where I'm a pastor, typically Monday would be my day off, and so to get in on that Monday or whatever, a lot of times with me and Aaron, it's just those things are difficult, or on a weekend with you, I mean, it's like you just got it, so many moving parts. So it helps to have some flexibility, and your flexibility hopefully stays, but you don't know. You know?
Yeah, and luckily we're blessed with support, and Rachel's mom and dad are younger, and my mom and dad are retired and can help, and both
Absolutely.
of them individually are able to help, and you don't always get that out of a dad or a father-in-law, and I'm lucky to have one that can, so it's going to help us out a whole lot. But anyway, kind of back to the point, I had an opportunity to go to Idaho. I went to Arkansas, and I went to Canada. I hunted in, obviously, West Virginia and Virginia this year. So I didn't get to go to North Carolina, which was fine, but got a lot of other experiences. And so if you didn't know or haven't listened to this before, I have this personal challenge that I want to kill the 41 North American duck species,
Absolutely.
waterfowl species, by the age of 50. And I know that's a very aggressive schedule if you don't know anything about this.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a couple of birds that you can only get in Alaska. You used to be able to get a harlequin in on the West Coast, and now the only place
season.
you can get is Alaska, which is also the only place that get the king otter.
Yeah.
So, and those are, and not only is it Alaska, you have to go out on a very, very small island and spend time to go get those. So it's definitely a hunt of a lifetime that I'll have to save up for.
Absolutely.
But
and not just that, it's a hunt in Alaska in the pits of winter. There's a lot of things, for the listener. It's not just, hey, I'm just going to Alaska in the summer. No, you're going in the dead part of winter. What is it, 4 to 6 hours of daylight
on an island?
On an island, yes.
On an island it's very extreme. It's a very extreme hunt.
Yeah, it is.
It's a. I guess it'd be the same as an elk hunter going up in the mountains, and you have to be ready for it, and you
Absolutely.
have to be conditioned and things like that. So that's coming at some point. I don't know when, but let me focus on the other other 40 or 39 now. And so I got a lot of new species in Canada alone, and so I got a Ross, or I'm sorry, I got a Snow, I got a Spoonie, and a Bufflehead in Canada, and then Arkansas produced a spec and a Ross.
Yep.
New ones for me. So, which was awesome. And so now I think that I'd have to look back. I think I'm at 25.
Yeah. Yeah.
25 of the 41.
And I'm close around that. Very similar. I got the spec this year, which was that was awesome to get the speckle belly, and we didn't even get to talk about actually that the chef actually fixed the speckle belly for us, and we had speckle belly pizza with goat cheese, and we had breast that was kind of filleted. It was great. Speckle belly is really top notch waterfowl meat. And the chef actually told me he likes it better than the ribeye of the sky. So he's like, it's his favorite, and he cooked it to perfection. So but yeah, we killed the speckle belly. I killed a ruddy duck this year, which we saw a pile of ruddies this year. I mean, it's like
in Virginia.
Virginia had just a pile of them, and then I killed the snow goose, and I killed the Ross. And so, I mean, it gave me 4, I guess, 4 species.
Yeah,
year.
it's fun. It's just an extra layer of fun to add to your hunt, and so like a deer hunter or an elk hunter or something 4-leg wise, you kind of you get one a season or something, deer, but duck you go out and you kill a lot of them. We had a lot of birds go down. We get a lot of questions. It's funny, get a lot of questions from local people and even my family. Do you eat those birds? And we do eat some of them.
Yeah.
I particularly will put them in a freezer, and I'm training Mabel with them.
Yeah.
So our Mabel, if you don't know, is our female Labrador Retriever, and she's just 8 or 9 months now,
right.
And so she's a little fireball, and so I get to save some of those birds, really for that purpose. And I joked this year with some guys out at the state park and said, "Old Pastor, he's the conservation specialist.
Oh,
he's senior conservation specialist."
Yeah,
and they are a tool. They are very much a tool. You lose less birds.
Yeah,
and it's also adds an extra element that makes this sport so much fun.
Yeah, it's fun to watch a dog work. And Pastor, I mean, really, in the midst of being in all those duck blinds with him numerous times this year and in different spots, it was really, he came into his element. And Pastor's B's dog, and B trained him all throughout COVID, if you didn't know that, and he worked hard on him, got him, and he is a phenomenal dog to be with. We also saw that, I think, even that much more in Arkansas. I mean, he was a quiet dog. He also, when it was time to get the birds, he got the birds in multiple different spots, and then retrieving. Even on the lake was some long retrieves, and they would let out water and
fighting
current in the lake. I mean, whitecaps. I mean, so and then as I guess it's just the culmination of seeing it all. Even on the with New River Trophy Outfitters, him picking up the geese and in the midst of the current of the New River, and not just that, he really made some things click even this year. You could see he's smart. So if he's out on a long retrieve and we knock down 2 birds, he'd pick up 2 birds and bring them back.
Yeah.
And he tried to pick up 3 at one point.
Yeah. And I think there's different goals that people have for different dogs. And, somebody might listen to that and say, well, I don't want my dog picking up 2 birds at one time, because that's in the hunting test world. You don't want that. But, I do. Pastor is not a hunt test dog, although we will hunt test him and get him titled before we breed him. I want him to use his brain and make it easier on himself. Because like you said, the one thing that I thought through this year that may be different from other people and dogs is that, we hunt lake, we hunt open water, you'd call it swim water. And then you'd have water that you could tread through, you got water that they can basically stand or jump, leap through. But he goes through swim water. And I think I looked down this year at one of our last hunts, and it was 39 degrees.
Yeah.
And it's an awful hard on the dog. I know people know that, but really just kind of showing you, talking about the elements and the conditions. 39-degree water at 100 plus yard retrieve there and back.
Yeah.
It weighs on a dog, and it's impressive to see. There was a couple times that I just naturally was concerned, and because he's 100 yards away from me and something will happen, I got to be out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, I don't ever, I definitely don't like to put him in bad situations. But kind of going back to the full circle on this conversation, he had a rock star year.
He did.
And from day one to the last day. I mean,
Yeah.
really, and he's kind of done that, and not that he really is aware of it. The first year he had his first bird on somewhat of a blind, and then the last retrieve he had was fighting current in the New River.
Yep.
And then this year he's fighting current in the New River on a raft, and then the last hunt, 150 plus yard retrieve in current water. So it's just more of like impressive. He just kind of hits a grand slam at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm proud of him. We're gonna be starting some serious training with Mabel here soon, and she's gonna be a little fireball. I've been saying that, and really proud of both of them. And I'm gonna be breeding them. So.
Yep.
The thing that I'll say about both of those dogs, although they're mine, and you kind of have some velvet glasses every once in a while, although they're mine, I would say the thing that I like about them the most is outside of the field. They're quiet dogs. They're good family dogs, and they're going to be great around our child. And we'll post some stuff about that. I mean, I know already they're going to be great, and they have a nice little whatever you would call it, a little spirit or personality of their own, and they mesh well, and they're going to make some stellar pups. I mean, they really will.
I believe that. I've been around Pastor since you got him and brought him to my house, and when my 8-year-old was 5 years old, he was already doing the commands for him. And so Mabel, it seems like a fireball. I mean, as much as I've seen her in the videos you showed me, and but they're quiet. They're a quiet dog, and really. Even when we were in Arkansas, you're hunting with other people with all kinds of different backgrounds, all that stuff. But the consensus was, which I think it would help you take the velvet glasses off, and even for myself, is we've hunted with other dogs, and Pastor, it seems to be the rock star. He's the one who kind of he does what he's supposed to do and gets back and sits down, and you don't even know he's there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, and I guess while we're on it, they're British Labs.
Yeah.
And the British Labs are from the UK, which I guess all labs would originate from there. But British Lab, you got British, American, and English labs.
Yep.
And so this British Lab is more of a gentleman's dog.
Right.
So you're going to get that off switch. You're going to get that nice resolve at home and in the blind. And so they're bred to do that and to be that way. And they are exactly that. And so I'm really proud of them. It's funny to see how different they are. I mean, I know, we talk about kids all the time. They're all different.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like night and day just in general. She's more of a touch me not, and he's like the people's dog.
Right, he is. Yeah.
But she's probably got a little bit more fire in her bones than he does, but he's got, like, what I'll say about that is not that she's got more drive than him. He thinks before he reacts, and she reacts before she thinks. So I've got to slow her down every once in a while. I'm like, let's just think about this. Like, let's just think and focus, then react. So we're working on some of that now. But Pastor's like, he's going to think, and when he's got it, he's got it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no questioning that. And so, but anyway, it's funny to talk about dogs in that manner, and they're definitely talented, and I'm proud of them.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I know we're getting wrapped up in the time, but we were on the lake, and it was basically a blind retrieve, and we thought like a styrofoam cup or a piece of white foam was the bird, and Pastor goes out and he goes to the right of that, and we're like, no. And he was right on the bird, went straight to the bird and brought it back. We were like, we get the binoculars or whatever, and we're like, he was right all along.
Yeah, trust the expert.
Yeah, trust the expert. He's got
Senior conservation specialist.
that's who he is. So, but that's about all the time we have for this podcast. We've had a great time. I've had a great time catching up with you, B, reminiscing over what we've done. And so, as we say always, man, happy hunting. I hope you have a great March, and we'll see you soon.
And turkey season.
And turkey season's coming
Get ready.
Soon. All right, the bearded retrieve, baby.